I'm Lucy Edwards, Director of Strategic Engagement at Metaport and VHT Studios. And today I have my guest flying all the way from Wisconsin, Lori Muller. And Lori is a U.S. President of Exit Realty Corp International. But now we are in Tampa, Florida. So that is quite a difference from Wisconsin, which I'm sure is beautiful right now.
It's the best time of the year when you're living in Wisconsin. So our daughter goes to college down here, and so I come down to visit, and I can still work from here and get meetings like this done while I'm visiting. So it's a work trip and a personal trip all in one.
Yep, it's pleasure and work all together. Business. Would like to start with talking about your success story, and we had a little chat before we started the interview itself, and you were saying how you started your career in sales and your entrepreneurial spirit made it happen, and you had your own business and it was great and successful, and then you grew into real estate. So let's start from the very beginning.
Very beginning would be, I got into sales really, I dropped out of college because I didn't really know what I wanted to be when I grew up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I took a job. I answered an ad in the newspaper at the time, travel the U.S., fun in the sun, and it was for selling cleaner door to door. And so I started that journey in September of 1998. And I worked through and did door to door sales, traveling almost 10 years, living in hotels, never having a place to call my own. And then I, for briefly about 2 years, left the chemical company I was working for, and myself and another partner, we started our own chemical brand and did that for a couple of years, traveling over to Guam, Puerto Rico, and staying stateside and building our own crew.
Mm-hmm.
So we had multiple people, 50, 60 people that worked for us and went door to door and sold cleaner. And then from that cleaning experience, I learned so much about relationships and sales and rejection, right? Because it's just a numbers game. You get some rejection with door-to-door sales. Everybody's not happy that you're at their door. And then when I moved back to Wisconsin, I got involved in corporate America a little bit. And that entrepreneurial spirit, I felt like I was losing it. And so that's when I got into real estate. I left corporate America and went into real estate. And I was an agent. And then from an agent, I was very successful in my first 4 months in the business. And I had started in September of that year when I got in. And by the end of the year, I was recruited from a big brand, from an independent, and went to work for them and started a team. And I started the first team in my city that wasn't partner team, like meaning a husband and a wife or a mother and a daughter, a true rainmaker team. And so I started my team, and we worked together for about 4.5 years. And then I bought my first exit franchise.
Okay.
So I was the first one in the state of Wisconsin back in 2007. And we all know what happened after 2007.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So I purchased right before everything kind of changed in the dynamics of real estate.
Let's call it the right word. Fell apart.
it fell apart. But unfortunately, my business partner at the time, he was in the REO side of the business. And so the REO side of the business was astronomically busy, and I was in new construction and land development. So I went from a practitioner standpoint to an operations, and I took care of the operations of the brokerage while the REO side of the business really maintained us through the recession. And then as we grew through the recession, I started growing the brokerage. We started hiring agents. We started opening up multiple locations. And then I was really doing this position before I got the position with corporate, because I was helping brokers across the country and doing some things with the National Women's Council of Realtors and NAR from a leadership standpoint. And then corporate Steve Morris, our founder, approached me and said, we would love for you to be part of our leadership team. And they created a position for me.
Well,
because there
congratulations.
wasn't a position. So I was initially the vice president of the U.S. operations. And I did that for about a year. And then they promoted me into the president position. And that's when I sold my brokerages.
That is a fascinating story. What a success story. But I think it's the foundation that you had also when you were in sales, and when you were learning about the importance of relationships, that people will come back to you over and over. And then also you working with someone who was actually employed by you throughout, like Puerto Rico and other parts of the world, where you were giving this leadership and the support and providing the experience.
It kind of goes back to that saying, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And I learned that at a very young age from my parents. And so I just knew anything that I wanted to do was possible as long as I put in the work. And that's something that I see in this industry is a lot of people see what they see on HGTV and think real estate is so easy, let me get my license. But then they get involved in it and they don't do the work that you need to do on a day-to-day basis in order to really thrive in this business.
And I think that's what separates the successful agent from everybody else. They do the work. They have the schedule. They focus on what they would like to accomplish. They build their goals and they achieve their goals. How do you share that knowledge and that enthusiasm with agents? And also, well, you have your brokers, you have your agents, and then you have the final client. But first, let's talk about the enthusiasm that you are sharing, and you help them thrive, and you help them build their own business.
Working with our brokers and our agents, it's really about just keeping them empowered, right? And it's knowing that as a broker or as an agent, you're constantly pouring into somebody else. The broker's pouring into the agent's pouring into the consumer. And it's super important that you continue to pour in yourself with education, with knowledge, going to industry events, staying on top of what's going on in the industry because it's ever changing. I mean, look at technology. What was good yesterday is not good today. So there's so many things that you have to keep abreast on. I think the most important thing about this industry is the relationship side of it, and we lose focus on that sometimes. And I think that's what's important for a broker, for an agent, or for the consumer to understand is that really it's a relational business, and we need to stop doing this and start meeting face to face, right? Because that face-to-face interaction that you have with someone is the impact. So when I'm traveling across the country or I'm coaching or mentoring our brokers and our agents, I'm really looking at the daily habits. The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod is a famous, a fabulous book for that. Atomic Habits by James Clear, another great book for that. But really establishing your habits and making sure that you're consistent and constant with them is a game changer, and tweaking 1 degree at a time. I use the analogy of a pot of water boils at 212 degrees. So you can simmer your whole life at 211, but if you really want your pot of water to boil, you need to crank it up that 1 degree.
Yeah, pushing the envelope. That's another expression that I just heard a few days ago, how you can have your goals and you can reach for them and you push the envelope until, and that is such a satisfaction. I think it's just personal satisfaction to know that, oh my goodness, I achieved it, right?
Right. And having that person that, I always think of myself as a guide on the side. I'm not leading from the front, I'm leading from behind, or I'm leading alongside you. And it's because I'm going to give you that gentle nudge, knowing that you can do it before you're 100% committed.
So do you offer coaching? Well, not really coaching like one-on-one, but when you visit an office, you travel throughout the country. When you visit an office or several offices at a time, or let's say you have a broker who has 2 or 3 offices and they have an event since you arrived over there to visit them, do you offer some coaching as far as like sharing what's happening in other areas and trying to motivate them?
Yeah, when I travel, we try to be as effective with our time as we can because we want to make the biggest impact in the community that we're in while we're there. So if I'm traveling for a grand opening, we'll do a training for the agents separate, and we'll do a training for all the brokers in the area separate. And we'll look at having some community events, or maybe we're doing we've done habitat builds and different things like that where I'm volunteering in a community when I'm going to visit as well. So we try to wrap in as much as we can and hit all demographics, like you said, the broker owners, the agents, and the consumer side, or the communities that we're serving. I think it's super important as a leader to also just be available and just to know that there is someone in their corner. So just, sharing my personal information, how they can contact me. A lot of times people walk up, I've never had that before. I never had that at another place that I worked at. And so I think that itself is valuable in remembering and having a conversation. So I haven't seen you, Lucy, in 6 months, but I remember you. I remember your husband, Peter, the kids, the work situation, your travel, whatever it is. And we can pick up that conversation from where we left off.
And that's exactly. I understand that you are involved in different charities, and then also when you arrive for a charity event, you are involved with all the offices in the area and with your regional vice presidents or regional owners, I should say,
Yep.
right? So that is great that you are building your relationship with your regional owners, but you're also familiar with who their brokers are, correct?
Right. Yep. So I work with the regional owners as well as our CEO and our co-chair. And our regional owners are really the boots on the ground in each one of those states or regions, looking for leaders. And we're always looking for really good leaders who want to make an impact in their communities, who want to grow people and change lives and create opportunities. That's really what we're looking about. And one of the things I think that sets Exit apart, that I believe sets us apart, is the people side of the business. So we're very invested in our people. We have a director of leadership who focuses on growing you, the personal and business development side of a leader. And then we have a brokerage development director who helps. Now you bought a brokerage. She's got the experience of running multiple brokerages, and she helps you through the way, not just the operations side, but a lot of times brokers own and they practice, and it's hard to balance both. So helping them save time, save money is really the focus that the brokerage development support resource does.
I wanted to ask you about brand within a brand, because you do have your Exit Realty brand, but then within that brand, you have local brands with local regional owners who have their own affiliates, and they have their own brand, and they would like to separate themselves not just from their competition, but also from other Exit. What they offer different. You are not really overlapping, as I understand. Everyone kind of takes care of their territory, and they're not stepping on each other's toes, right?
Well, it's more of a collaboration environment. So all of our brokers, even though they're in a specific area and they buy a franchise in a specific area, we really promote working together. So you can work on events together, trainings together. You know, you may be really good at training on marketing, and I may be really good at training on the contractual side of the business. And so we share each other's strengths to offset our weaknesses. So our brokers collaborate a lot with each other. Our regional owners collaborate with each other. And as a company, we collaborate. I run a lead call every month. It's called Leadership Excellence Accelerating Development. And so that touches all of our broker owners. And then I also do a women's group with some of our female owners called Women Warriors. So focusing on women in leadership, because we have some different challenges sometimes. And so just working through some of those hurdles, or, you know, we talk a lot about time for ourselves. You know, how do you structure your business so that you can have some time for yourself, learning to say no, learning to put yourself first, learning to take care of yourself. So different things like that. And working with the municipalities on grants and, you know, different passion projects and things like that.
So when you travel, I'm sure you have a very busy schedule, so you know exactly where you're going to be. Do you study what's going on in the market there, so you can have a conversation or recommendation of what direction your brokers and agents should take?
I definitely do, because I want to know what's going on for them in their state. So I'll look at migration patterns, and I'll look at home sales, and I'll look at new construction. I'll look at, you know, what's really affecting them in their state. You know, where are people moving to from their state? Where are people coming from to move into their state? But really just getting a better understanding of their days on the market, their list to sell ratio, all the things that affect a transaction. Because you can give them the tools and you can give them the resources, but if they're not tapping into it, it doesn't matter. So making sure that they have that knowledge to be educated. To you know, the consumer a lot of times has that grasp on the knowledge, and so I always say, you know, Lucy, if you ask me a question and I don't know the answer to it, I'm going to say, you know what, right now I don't know the answer, but I'm going to look for you and find the right answer, and that's the better way to approach it than throw something out there, see if it sticks, and then you have the resources and you've done your due diligence and already found that I did not give you the accurate information, and then you lose that trust. And this business is all about trust.
Oh, that is so true. Yes, it is. And it's trust between you and your brokers and broker owners, and it's between you and their affiliates. So I think it is important that they know how the leadership goes all the way from bottom to the top and top to the bottom.
Yeah. So the brand within a brand is really helping our brokers build a company within a company, helping our agents build their own companies, right? Because they're all independent business owners. But really the long-term goal is that we never talk about the saleable side of this business. We don't want you to work until you're 80 and then just dissolve. We want you to build a business that's saleable, that you have a succession plan in place. And so we talk about succession plans a lot, and we talk about them initially. So what's your game plan? Because, for instance, partnerships are a big thing that we deal with. And sometimes partnerships don't have a clause in there for right of first refusal if they want to dissolve the partnership. So we're working through things like that. Or if it's an agent, say you're an aging agent or a veteran agent and I want to retire, or I want to be a snowbird, or, I want to have some free time. You can groom a new agent to take over your business, and you can teach them the skills that you've learned over the years. And they may be really good at tech, and you're not necessarily a full team, but you're working together and collaborating together, so that younger person that you're teaching about all the wisdom and knowledge that you have about the business, they're teaching you about the tech side of the business. And then when you get to the point where you want to sell, that agent would be your succession plan.
And I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, that even when you do sell and you have a successor and you have the team and you decide to kind of like step back and just maybe oversee, you still get paid for certain transactions because you invested in your business. Is that correct?
Right. So exit has it's a residual. It's a single level residual component to our formula, and I think that's really our biggest differentiator, because what it does is it allows you to invite and sponsor. That's your responsibility, is just to invite someone to have a conversation with your broker. And when you invite someone over to the company, as a thank you for that, what head office does is that you receive 10% residual off the gross commission that's earned from the agent that you sponsored in, up to $10,000 per year. Now, when you go into retirement, or if you have a lifestyle change, say you have a baby and you're taking a few months off for the baby and your business goes down a little bit, you're considered to be in retirement stage.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in retirement stage, it's 7%. But that's enhanceable. Say you retired, Lucy, and you're like, you know what, I can't do this. I need to be going,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because sometimes we just can't
we
can't stop.
Yeah.
It's enhanceable. So you can go back and you can raise your residual back up to 10%. Now, there's also a death benefit. So we call it a legacy benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So in that, I have a story about that I'd love to share, because it's so impactful. We had a gentleman who he had been at another brand, and he decided to go ahead and purchase a exit franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And as he was going through the transition, he held his broker's license and moved his team over into another exit office so he could get his office set up. So he incubated in another office.
Mm-hmm.
And as he was incubating, he passed away. And his wife started receiving these residual checks, and she reached out to the broker and said, I'm not sure what these are because my husband's passed away. And she said, well, these are the residuals that Exit offers as a death benefit. And she's like, you're kidding. And so she told her kids, she had kids at home still, what that was. And they said, we need to do this, and we need to still carry on Dad's legacy. So they named their brokerage Exit Realty Legacy, and they are almost 2 years in the business now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing great. And that's one of the impact stories on the power of residuals.
Beautiful story.
Yeah,
beautiful story.
Every time I tell it, I get a little choked up.
I feel the same way. And I've been working with different exits throughout the country quite a bit. And for example, I have great respect for Stacy Strobel,
Mm-hmm.
and she was saying that the system in place, that is a perfect system, you're constantly tweaking it and working on it, but there is a system. And if you join Exit and you follow the steps that are offered to you, as a brand new broker who would like to be an affiliate, for example, you will succeed because everything was thought through to the greatest detail. And what you offer to their agents is also thought through to the greatest detail. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, we have a technology department. We own all of our own tech. So our tech is built by Exit for Exit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a huge component of our success story, is our technology. And part of that is from when we bring an agent on, we're onboarding them, teaching them how to use our technology. We have a director of corporate engagement, and she travels the country and goes into the brokerages and teaches first the broker how to use it, because the leader has to know how to use it first so that they're confident in helping their agents, and then goes in and teaches the whole agent group. So she'll go into regions, or she'll go into big offices and do that type of training. So not only are we giving them the tools, but we have somebody specifically traveling the country teaching them how to use the tools. And that's a big difference, right?
Yes.
Because I can tell you have something, and if you ask people what their toolbox is or what their resources is, 90% of the time they have no idea. They end up buying their own, system, their own CRM, their own whatever it is, they buy their own. And so really tapping into what your brand offers, I think, is huge. And that's one thing that we start right from the beginning with our brokers and our agents. So our technology, we're mobile business card. We have an app. We have smart sign technology where the listing agent is capturing all their own leads, and it syndicates. So any property falls into that. So it could be another brand's listed down the street, but when they're in front of the exit sign, they can not only look at that exit property, but any of the properties that are listed in that vicinity as well. So capturing that, and it has property search throughout the United States. So just the different technology tools, and we're always tweaking those. We have digital presentations. I mean, we integrate with a lot of different providers as well. So some of our partners integrate with our platforms, and it's just really the boots on the ground, getting our people to use our tools out of the gate, because every tool that we have will allow you to capture more business.
No, that's fantastic. And that's what Stacy was saying. Just follow the path that we have built for you and keep building, and you will succeed. And now I totally agree. And I had a conversation with Jonathan from Mid-Atlantic, and he was also saying that the back-end system for agents is easy to use, but even if someone is not getting it, there is always support, and there is always you have webinars, you have classes, you have one-on-one. He's always available for his agents to sit down, and you are constantly, Lori, try is a negative word. You are constantly looking for partners where you build those partnerships that you have the best pricing, the best products, the best availability for your agents. I think that's also very important, that you are in search of those partnerships that support your agents.
Yeah, our team leader for our corporate strategic partnerships, it's really a reciprocal relationship. And sometimes I'll hop on calls with him when he's interviewing potential partners and just say, you know what, it's got to be a win-win for both parties, but we're really looking for partners that want to not only grow their business, but grow our business as well. But we're also telling our people it has to be reciprocal. So if we're working together, Lucy, I want to help you grow just as much as you want to help me grow. And when you have that type of playground to play in, I think that it makes it more of a long-term relationship instead of just a one and done or looking for the next bright, shiny object.
I agree with you. It has to be a relationship. You have to be in it together. You have to push that envelope together, and everyone should benefit. And that's when everything works and falls into place. What is your take on a future agent? How do you vision the agent in another few months? We're already half of the year is gone.
Lots of changes going on, right?
Yeah. And how do you see 2024 evolving around the agent and the education maybe? But what's your take?
I mean, I think that I hate to say the word back to basics, but it's really just this is your window of opportunity to really get your systems in place and the tools. But it goes back into using the 4-letter word of work. You have to put in the work. Success does not become before work in the dictionary, right? That's the only place it does come is in the dictionary. So you have to put in the work first before the success is going to come. And I think that, the changes that are going to happen in our industry, I'll be curious to see what happens with some of the industry lawsuits and what happens with those. I think that's something that's kind of a little unknown. I think interest rates are going to be coming down. If you listen to Lawrence Young, he just did a mid-year report, and, looking at rates. I think inventory is going to go up a little bit. I think we're going to have a drop in realtor population. We already dropped this year from 1.6 to 1.5. But I think that makes us better as an industry, right? If you look at the business right now, 90% of the business is done by the top 10%. I mean, it's always been that way, and it's the listing side. So I think getting creative with how you're going to capture listings. And if you look at the demographics of the baby boomer, and a lot of them held onto their homes during COVID, and now we're post-pandemic, and looking at what are they going to do? What are their alternatives? Are they going to do multi-generational housing? Are they going to do condo? Are they, what are they going to do? And focusing on that. And, there's opportunities in probate. There's opportunities in new construction. Divorce always keeps us in business. There's so many creative ways. There's so many creative ways to look at getting inventory. It's just thinking outside of the box and really just diving deep, developing really good habits, building on the relationships, because the relationship side of this business is never going to go away. It's never going to go away.
Yeah, there is no such thing as artificial intelligence that will take away the relationship and the hug and the handshake and the feeling and your devotion to your seller or to your buyer, to your client who understands that you care.
Yeah, you may use the AI to help you with listing descriptions or, writing an ad or creating a marketing piece, but you're never going to get away from having that one-to-one conversation with the consumer and sitting face-to-face across the kitchen table.
So agents should go outside of the box and stop being at home, just texting and maybe calling. They should really door knocking, just like you did.
I mean, door knocking was my jam for many, many years. And I think that people are afraid to do it. But once you get the knack for it, it's better than cold calling, because it's face to face and it's more of a warm lead in. But it's really just the AI side of it. I just don't think I think an agent with AI is better than an agent without AI. I think technology, you need to embrace it. Mm-hmm. You need to learn how it's going to help you do the B and C tasks so you can concentrate on the revenue generating activities. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's going to overtake the relationship and the knowledge side of the business.
Well, I'm happy to hear that we're all going to be employed next year.
Fingers crossed, right?
Well, at least the ones who would like to be.
The ones who want to put in the work will be.
Right. Yeah. The ones who is using the four-letter word work.
Yeah.
Yes. And I totally agree with you. Work comes before success. But then success will come right after.
Right. It follows right along.
Right along. Well, thank you so much, Lori. And I wish you and your company and all your colleagues the best of the best, great the rest of the year, perfect next year, if there is such a thing as perfect year. But, I do agree with you that it will get better, and we just have to be strong and look forward to it.
Yeah, this too shall pass, right?
Yeah.
It's the cycle of real estate, and anybody that's been in for any period of time has been through a couple cycles now. So it's really just, keeping your blinders on, staying focused, and just growing your business.
Staying focused.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, Lori. Thank you very much. All the best.
All the best to you too, Lucy.
Cheers, everybody.